Well, hi again, everybody, and welcome back to Buckeye Brainiacs Bowl, brought to you by Owens Community College. I'm Mason Lowry. We're going to dive right back into round number 2. Both of these teams, Eastwood and Southview, with impressive wins in round number 1. Especially impressed with Eastwood, the small but mighty group of 3 that are here. They can't make substitutions. They can't make changes. They're hanging in there. They're doing an awesome job, and long may that continue for both them and for Southview. Before we get into the buzzing round, let's let these guys reintroduce themselves.
Brendan Delaney, freshman.
Caitlin Ford, junior.
Scott McKenzie, freshman.
Hammond Theory, junior.
Jacob Connect, freshman.
Mitchell Myers, junior.
Matthew Myers, senior.
Welcome to the buzzing round.
In the buzz-in round, both teams will have their buzzers in hand. Teams buzzing in and answering correctly will receive 10 points. If they answer incorrectly, they will lose 10 points. Good luck.
Well, you guys are all veterans at this point. You know what you're doing, right? Off we go then. 3 minutes on the clock starting now. Good luck to both teams. The Padma River flows into what body of water home to the Andaman Islands? See a lot of shaking of heads. It's the Bay of Bengal. What seascape painting depicts 2 boats in Port of Le Havre and lends its name to a movement that included the artist Claude Monet? That painting was Impression Sunrise. What ancient language used an alphabet with letters such as alpha and beta? Eastwood.
Greek.
Ancient Greek, correct. Name this feline with an impregnable pelt, which Heracles strangled with his bare hands as part of his first labor.
The Nemean lion.
Correct. What English poet declared he would justify God's ways to man in his epic poem Paradise Lost? Anyone? It's John Milton. Which body creates Van Allen belts due to its namesake wind, which originates from the corona? Eastwood?
The sun.
You got it. Which Missouri senator raised his fist outside the U.S. Capitol on January 6th in solidarity with Donald Trump? It's Josh Hawley. The burning of books and burying of scholars occurred during the reign of which Chinese monarch who was buried with the Terracotta Army?
Qin Shi Huang.
That's correct. Americium 241 from what devices was used by Boy Scout David Hahn in an attempt to build a nuclear reactor? Southview.
Fire detectors.
Correct, smoke detectors. Name the man who sold Elon Musk Twitter for $44 billion. Eastwood.
Jeff Bezos.
Incorrect. Southview? Beg pardon, you can't steal in this round. It's been a long day. The answer was Jack Dorsey. In mythology, before whose wedding were her suitors forced to swear the oath of Tyndareus? Helen of Troy. What trig function equals 1 at 0 pi radians and is calculated by dividing the adjacent side by the hypotenuse? Southview.
Cosine.
Cosine is correct. What event caused the death of teacher Krista McAuliffe after O-ring failures in a space shuttle? Southview.
The Challenger spaceship disaster.
Correct. The resort town of Cabo San Lucas lies on what peninsula? Eastwood.
Yucatan.
Sorry, Baja California. What language was used to write a tetralogy called the Sea of Fertility and the Temple of the Golden Pavilion by Yukio Mishima? Anyone? Time's up anyway. The answer was Japanese. So, as I expected, this has been a really good match so far. Southview with a narrow 40-20 lead on Eastwood. We'll be right back for the volley round on Brainiacs Bowl.
Buckeye Brainiacs Bowl on BCSN is presented by Owens Community College. Your success starts here. Apply today at owens.edu. Welcome to the volley round. The volley round, the first question goes to the team with the lowest score. If they answer correctly, they are awarded 10 points, and the next question goes to the opposing team. If any team answers a question incorrectly, the opposing team gets a chance to answer that question and still receive their question. Good luck.
Well, we do have a scoring change to update you on. We gave Eastwood a little too much credit, I guess. We had them for 20 points. They actually had 10, so they trail Southview by 30. Regardless, they get first crack at the volley round, and you guys can make up that 10 points maybe on the first question. Either way, it's going to happen real quick. You ready? All right, 3 minutes begins now. What Baroque Italian painter depicted a divine beam of light illuminating a tax collector in The Calling of St. Matthew?
Leonardo da Vinci.
Incorrect. Southview to steal.
Michelangelo.
It's Caravaggio. Southview, who lost a 1948 presidential bid in which the Chicago Tribune reported that he had beat Truman?
Thomas Dewey.
Correct. Eastwood, what city was devastated in 1992 by Hurricane Andrew along with neighboring Broward and Palm Beach counties?
Florida.
More specific?
Miami.
Miami is correct. Southview, what action was prohibited in New York City by signs reading, "Don't even think of blanking here"?
Parking.
Parking's correct. I love that one. One of these animals, Eastwood, is curled up near Venus in a Titian painting.
A bird.
Incorrect. Southview?
A cheetah.
No, they're dogs. Southview, what author wrote a story in which Gregor Samsa is transformed into a bug titled The Metamorphosis?
Pass.
Eastwood?
Pass.
Franz Kafka. Eastwood, this curve's eccentricity is always 1 since the distance between a point on it and both the directrix and focus are equal.
Parallel lines.
Sorry, Southview?
A circle.
No, it's a parabola. Southview, what U.S. president was assassinated in Buffalo, New York?
Garfield.
Sorry, Eastwood? Nothing? It was William McKinley. Eastwood, the seaside town of Punta del Este separates what body of water from the Atlantic Ocean?
Gulf of Mexico.
Incorrect. Southview?
The Caribbean.
It's the Rio de la Plata. Southview, what tool, which commonly uses T-shank blades, is used to cut precise curves in a material and gave rise to its namesake type of puzzle?
Jigsaw.
Jigsaw is correct. Eastwood, name this sect opposed to Abu Bakr's succession to Muhammad, which recognizes Ali as the first imam and is the majority religion of Iran and Iraq.
Islam.
More specific?
Shia Islam.
That's the one. Southview, what phenomenon also nicknames a Beethoven sonata likened to it shining off Lake Lucerne at night?
Moonlight.
Correct. Eastwood, what national park on Mount Desert Island is near the town of Bar Harbor, Maine?
Pass.
Southview?
Forest National Park.
It's the Acadia National Park. Southview, well, we won't have time to get to the next question. Nice job, though, done by the Cougars. Now, 80-30 is your lead over Eastwood, 50 points. That means Eastwood will be up first in the lightning round when we come back.
Buckeye Brainiacs Bowl on BCSN is presented by Owens Community College, home to Northwest Ohio's #1 nursing college.
Yeah, I heard you whisper it, but let you.
Buckeye Brainiacs Bowl on BCSN is brought to you in part by Unison Health and the Mental Health and Recovery Services Board of Lucas County, reminding you that it's your time, your choice. Welcome to the Lightning Round. In the Lightning Round, each team gets 3 minutes to answer as many questions as possible. 10 points will be awarded for each correct answer. This round will begin with the team that has the lowest score. Good luck.
Welcome back to Brainiacs Bowl here on BCSN. It's another tight one. Eastwood 50 points behind Southview, up 80-30. That means the Eagles get to go first. In our lightning round, you will have 3 minutes to yourself to answer as many questions as you can. Then Southview will take their 3 minutes. Eagles, you ready?
Yep.
Let's do it. Your time starts now. What man is trapped in a cave by a magician before escaping with a magic ring and creating a palace with the help of a magic lamp?
Aladdin.
Correct. What quantity is higher for ocean water than fresh water and is a measure of the sodium chloride
Salt.
content of a sample of water?
Salt.
I can't accept that. Looking for salinity specifically. This mythological archetype with 1,000 faces titles a Joseph Campbell book claiming stories of their journey are common between cultures.
Pass.
Heroes. The Low Country and Grand Strand regions contain the popular vacation destinations of Hilton Head Island and Myrtle Beach in what state?
South Carolina.
No,
It is South Carolina. You are correct. What monarch traveled to the Netherlands during the Grand Embassy and built a namesake capital for his country after winning the Great Northern War against Sweden?
Pass.
Peter the First or Peter the Great? What animal titles an interlude in an opera by Nikolai Rimsky-Korsakov that uses chromatic 16th note runs to mimic its flight?
a bird.
Sorry, Bumblebee, Flight of the Bumblebee. Name the longest interstate highway in the U.S. that connects Seattle to Boston.
I-75.
No, it's the I-90. What phenomenon, which is minimized by lowering net emissions, is characterized by a gradual rise in global temperature?
Global warming.
You got it. What language is used in the collection 20 Love Poems and a Song of Despair by Pablo Neruda?
Greek.
It's in Spanish. The Mongol Empire destroyed what country's armies at the Battle of Mohi?
China.
Hungary. 2 football players from Northwest Ohio have won the Heisman Trophy. Dick Kazmaier from Maumee and Charles Woodson from where?
Cincinnati.
He was born in Fremont. Whose beheading was reluctantly ordered by Herod?
Pass.
John the Baptist. Oliver Wendell Holmes claimed that which amendment did not protect one's right to shout fire in a crowded theater?
The Second Amendment.
First Amendment. What Midwestern city hosts the largest one-day sports event in the world on its motor speedway, a 500-mile
Indianapolis.
long, that's the one. What structure is stained purple in gram-negative bacteria composed of cellulose in plants and is an additional protective organelle that surrounds
Plant
the cell
wall.
membrane?
Cell wall.
Cell wall is correct. What German composer's 9 massive symphonies include Tragic
Beethoven.
and Titan?
Beethoven.
Sorry, it's Gustav Mahler. Name the author that describes instructions to go home and write a page tonight in a poem titled Theme for English B.
Pass.
Langston Hughes. What medieval union founded by Margaret I unified Denmark, Sweden, and Norway under one monarch?
The Nordic Union.
That was the Kalmar Union. What American League baseball team plays at Camden Yards?
Red Sox.
Baltimore Orioles. Time is up. Well, you've pulled yourselves into a tie with Southview, but Cougars, now it's your turn. You've got the 3 minutes. You know how it works. Good luck. We will begin your time right now. The Dollywood theme park is located in what state?
Tennessee.
Correct. What monarch known as the Lawgiver expanded the Ottoman Empire to its largest territorial extent?
Suleiman the Great.
Sorry, can't accept it. Suleiman the Magnificent, the Lawgiver, or Suleiman the First is what we were looking for. What sport did Michael Jordan play for 2 years in the early 90s before returning to the Chicago Bulls?
Baseball.
All in unison. Well done. What E-flat major Beethoven work featuring a funeral march is often considered the first romantic symphony?
Pass.
The Eroica Symphony. One of what author's characters repeatedly says, "I would prefer not to," while another hunts an animal that bit off his leg?
Pass.
Herman Melville was the author. What deepest American lake formed in the caldera of Mount Mazama is located in an Oregon national park?
Crater Lake.
Crater Lake is correct. Who unknowingly ceded their sovereignty to Britain in the Treaty of Waitangi and are the indigenous peoples of New Zealand?
The Maori.
Correct. The decision in Obergefell versus Hodges granted people with what trait the right to marry?
Homosexuals.
Correct. This piece was premiered by David Tudor, who began its first movement by closing a piano lid.
Pass.
433. Name this great hunter who threatened to kill every beast on earth and died after being stung by a huge scorpion.
Artemis.
Orion. Name the largest city in New Mexico and the setting of Breaking Bad.
Albuquerque.
Correct. What novel is set in the dystopian country Gilead and was written by Margaret Atwood?
Handmaid's Tale.
Correct. A breach occurs when one party violates the terms of what sort of legally binding agreement between two parties?
Contract.
Correct. During what event did Alexander Berkman fail to assassinate Henry Clay Frick, who hired Pinkerton detectives to stop striking workers at a western Pennsylvania Carnegie steel plant in 1892? That was a mouthful.
Pass.
The Homestead Strike. What home video game console, did Nintendo release between the Nintendo 64 and the Wii?
Switch.
No, it was the GameCube. The title nobleman of what opera written by Mozart is dragged to hell by a statue for his libertine behavior?
Pass.
Don Giovanni. Name the mountainous country east of Italy whose capital is Ljubljana.
Croatia.
Sorry?
Slovenia.
Slovenia is correct. What Greek thinker claimed to be the wisest man in Athens because he knew that he knew nothing?
Socrates.
Correct. What vice president under James Madison names a process for partisan redistricting?
Gerrymandering. Jerry.
Elbridge Gerry is the correct response. The musical Once Upon a Mattress is based on what fairy tale?
Princess and the Pea.
Correct. That's time. Well done, Southview. Up to 190 points. It's not an unassailable lead, however. Eastwood, remember, still got time to come back. We'll see if they can do it in the final challenge round. That's next.
Bowl on BCSN is presented by Owens Community College. Your success starts here. Apply today at owens.edu. Buckeye Brainiacs Bowl on BCSN is presented by Owens Community College, home to Northwest Ohio's #1 nursing college. This is the final challenge. Now it's time for the final challenge. Teams will once again have their buzzers in hand. Any team buzzing in with a correct answer will receive 10 points. If the team that buzzed in answers incorrectly, the opposing team gets a chance to answer that same question and gain 10 points. Good luck.
Time now for the final challenge round, brought to you by our friends at Unison Health and the Mental Health Board of Lucas County. It's 190-80. Southview with the lead, but as we've seen in tapings past, that can change at any time. 4 minutes on the clock, buzzers in hand. Well done. Your 4 minutes will begin right now. What author wrote about Natty Bumppo in The Last of the Mohicans?
Shelley.
Southview. Say again?
Shelley.
Incorrect. Eastwood?
Pass.
James Fenimore Cooper. What German city on the Rhine is also famous for its perfumes? Southview.
Cologne.
Correct. Name the technique often used by jazz vocalists that involves improvised... Southview.
Scat.
Correct. Name this type of connective tissue that transports oxygen and consists of plasma, platelets, and hemoglobin. Southview.
Blood.
Correct. The headwaters of the Limpopo River are near what landlocked southern African country? Southview.
Botswana.
Correct. Gray Beaver adopts the title character in what Jack London novel? Southview.
Into thin air.
Incorrect. Eastwood?
Pass.
It's White Fang. Thomas Tuchel was recently named the manager of what national soccer team? Eastwood.
Great Britain.
I can't accept that. Sorry. Southview?
England.
England is correct. There is no Great Britain national team, unfortunately. What clouds formed from ice crystals are known for their thin and wispy shape and are present at high altitudes? Eastwood.
Cumulus.
Incorrect. Southview?
Cirrus clouds.
Cirrus clouds is correct. Name this city on the Chao Phraya River, the largest in Thailand. Southview.
Bangkok.
Correct. Whose moves were often said to be done backwards and in high heels? Southview?
Michael Jackson.
No, I'm sorry. I'll read it in full. Whose moves were often said to be done backwards and in high heels by his dancing partner, Ginger Rogers?
Pass.
You're only about 40 years too late. It was Fred Astaire. What president was assassinated by Charles Guiteau less than a year into his presidency? Southview.
James Garfield.
Correct. In what play by Eugene O'Neill does a foghorn continuously bother the morphine-addicted Mary? Anyone?
Pass.
We're just all going to pass. That's fine. Long day's journey into night. What is the only Spanish-speaking country in South America whose national sport is baseball? Southview.
Venezuela.
Correct. Name this quantity equal to the time derivative of work, which is measured in watts. Eastwood.
Newton.
Say again?
Newtons.
No, sorry. Southview? It's power. What photographer was working for the Farm Security Administration when she captured Florence Owens Thompson in Migrant Mother? Give up? It's Dorothea Lange. Whose running mate in 1984 was Geraldine Ferraro, the first ever female vice presidential nominee?
Walter Mondale.
Correct. Name the term for a loan taken to purchase a house. Southview.
Mortgage.
Correct. What U.S. territory established by the Tripartite Convention is governed from Pago Pago? Eastwood.
Puerto Rico.
Sorry, no. Southview?
Guam.
It's American Samoa. The question, who is John Galt, is answered in the novel Atlas Shrugged by which author? Southview.
King.
Incorrect. Eastwood?
Pass.
Ayn Rand. What American city is home to the Grand Ole Opry? Southview.
Nashville.
Correct. What class of rocks are distinguished by the presence of visible layering called foliation? Eastwood.
Igneous.
Sorry, no. Southview.
Sedimentary.
No, metamorphic rocks. And that's time. And Southview, boy, you guys really pulled away there in the final challenge round. Well done. A 2-0 first 2 rounds for you guys. I'm sure we'll see you again later on in the season. And Eastwood, with just 3 of you, you did an awesome job getting here. You were really, really good in your win over Oak Harbor earlier. Best of luck to you guys in the rest of your season. That wraps up Brainiacs Bowl for today, brought to you by Owens Community College. I'm Mason Lowry, and we'll see you next time.